everybody, my name is Amy Kwan, your voice in real estate. Today we will be talking about why Toronto is a great place to invest if you're looking for a place to invest. Whether you're from a different country or different parts of Canada and you're just looking into investing or just surfing through the internet, but I would like you to just think of this and sort of put your mind into when you will be investing in a property and why Toronto would be good, and apply that in your home buying process. So let's dive into it. So the overarching theme of why Toronto is a great place to start this is one of the biggest cities in Canada that conducts business and financial capital, and it's a growing financial hub in the North America. Not only in Canada, but in North America. It is one of the biggest cities, and it is a top 10 global financial center. So to dive right into it, we do have perks of being in Toronto, and these do tend to rise from the reasons, overarching theme that I've already mentioned. And these include high rates of employment, rising income levels, GDP growth, lower interest rates, and an increasing population, especially in Canada, and Toronto being like the center of it. We will dive into the numbers later, but this is really basically one of the big reasons why. Okay, so the high rates of employment, because Toronto is one of the big cities that really help with Canada's economy, and it really is the core of it all. A lot of people who are looking for jobs, or big companies that are looking for their employees, are situated here. So the big companies like the headquarters of American Express, the Rogers, the banks are all here and situated right here in Toronto, in the downtown area, the North York area, and it's sort of around the Toronto area now. And the high rates of employment is definitely letting a lot of people come in from other parts of the city, but also other parts of the country and other parts of the world. So, and with what government is projecting in terms of the number of permanent residents they are going to let in, this is really going to help the Toronto real estate investments get bigger. So in 2024, they are expecting 485,000 permanent residents to be let in here in Canada. It is in Canada, not just in Toronto. So they will go to different parts of Canada, but majority of them we are thinking will go to Toronto or Vancouver. And then in 2025, it's not dollars, 500,000 immigrants, permanent residents. So in total, that is about 985,000 more people coming into the country, and we project that most of them will be moving to the two big cities, or they will go to a smaller city. And because this is what I did. So my family, just a TLDR here, my family moved to New Brunswick, and then after settling in there, we actually stayed longer than a lot of people that did stay, but a lot of them only stayed for maybe 2-3 years and then moved to Toronto. But we stayed about 12 years there and then moved here. So yeah, a lot of the main goals of people seem to be to move to Toronto, which wasn't really our train of thought, but it just ended up happening with my whole job and all, which I actually made a video of about my personal life. And if you want to know more about it, please subscribe and like it so that you get notification and turn on that notification button. And that would be great. Okay, and there's a couple of reasons why the income level is rising compared to other parts of the city and the world and all this that we've been talking about. And it is because the affordability is not that great here in Toronto. And we hear people talking about it all the time, but it really is the problem of the big cities. You know, that's where all the people come. There's different there's different levels of social economic status, and so a lot of people who may have a lot of money would come to Toronto as well as other people in different situations, right? So because of that, I find that income levels, the employers have to make sure that they have the rates that are competitive enough to make the employees come with their company and work for them. And employees will have to pay for the rent, the mortgage, everything else, the house prices and everything that they have to afford. And you know, car insurance here in Toronto is crazy. So, you know, everything, groceries, it's a lot to afford. So because of that, the income levels are higher, and they have higher minimum wage. And the GDP growth, it is pretty significant in Toronto. And the lower interest rates compared to other parts of the country and the world. We do tend to have lower interest rates, even though I know a lot of people are struggling, and I know a lot of people are not having the best time in being able to pay for it. I know it's not the greatest time, but if you looked at other parts of the country, I know it's really hard for a lot of people around the world, not just Toronto and Canada. So another interesting thing about Toronto and why I tell my clients personally to invest is because of the lower price fluctuations. So for people who are out of the province or the country and they don't want too much stress going on, and they have trust, like they have people that they can trust as a real estate agent, mortgage broker, or everything basically in between, to help with facilitate the home purchasing. It is very safer compared to other parts of the country to invest in Toronto because of their lower price fluctuations. So in Canada versus United States, in the past many years, when recession or difficulties around the world has happened, Canada's house prices, especially in Toronto, has stabilized, and it's sort of, it obviously fluctuated, but not as drastically as US. And US, you know, you're all over the map, and you know, they are definitely reacting to the market, but that's c'est la vie. So with the lower price fluctuations, it really ends up being helpful for investors that are hoping to invest in something without too much risk. So I'll tell you a story. As you guys, some of you guys may know, I am from New Brunswick, and we've invested in multiple properties there, from houses to buildings and restaurants, you know, like businesses and sort of thing. But at one point, it has been very difficult to, when it was time to sell, especially big things like a commercial building, it was very difficult to sell. So because there's less demand, if you wanted a quick sale, first of all, it might not even happen, so good luck. Second of all, you have to really lower your prices, and someone who, you know, out of the city or something will hopefully buy it, you know. And so that was definitely one of the struggles. Not only that, the rent is not as high as Toronto, so it's not like we're getting a lot of money from rents either. And the last thing, the biggest thing, was that there was no price appreciation whatsoever for the property. So we've put in that money, and when it was time to sell, it was just about the money that we've spent, or we've actually lost money by investing for a few years. And that was true for many types of real estate. And that is so true for people that are investing in outside of the city, in outside of the core in the country. And that was honestly our biggest lesson learned from us investing in many properties back in New Brunswick. And my parents has lived other parts of the world in Korea and everything. And they've obviously invested, and they've seen basically the same thing even from our aunts, our uncles, our grandma, grandpa. You know, people who has invested in the city will get a lot of return so ROI, return on investment, compared to like people who invested in small cities. They will probably not get the same amount, the same rate of investment back, unfortunately. So the lower price fluctuations are definitely the number one key. Number two is the great market appreciation. So we just talked about that. Over time, Toronto has shown that the price will likely go up if you were to buy and hold compared to other parts of the country. Great market appreciations. We already talked about that. The rent is high, so if you bought like commercial building of residences, so like a lot of people lived in it, 3 or more houses, residences in one building would be considered commercial. So if you were to buy that, the rent is high, so you will get that return most likely, depending on how much you've put down and everything, but most likely. And the fact that it is immigration friendly, and it is where people want to go if they are coming to Toronto. And Toronto is really a tremendous city because it's not that busy compared to other countries. So if you went to Seoul, Korea, or Beijing, or other parts of the world where you go to the core of the city, it's like I easily feel very overwhelmed stepping into it. Just like, whoa, like the TTC sort of thing in Korea, I'm like, this does not feel great. I want my space, but you don't get space, you know, you didn't really ask for it, sort of thing. They will probably not give you space, you didn't pay for that. So yeah, so you will get into like subways and things like that, and you're just overwhelmed. Whereas here, there's times that are busy, like the rush hours are really busy, but in the non-rush hours, they're not overwhelming. It's not going to overwhelm you, right? So because of that, I think that's really great. If you walked into, you know, restaurants or whatever, you can probably, unless it's like a really famous restaurant, you can like get in usually, sort of thing. And there's less crimes here in Toronto compared to other big cities. So these are really the big reasons why people are moving here. And with all the disasters that are happening around the world that Canada is less prone to, such as earthquakes, floods, and things like that, it is a lot of refugees will move to. This is a lot of where immigrants will move to, and things like that, where they can open their arms and spread their wings and invest when they can. So Canada makes it really easy for people to move into the country and live to their full potential once they build that credit and once they build whatever they can to afford a home. And the jobs, you know, we just talked about the high rates of employment and as well competitive salaries. So I think that these are big reasons as to why Toronto is a great place to invest in real estate. Now, you might be like, you know, Amy, I think you're just sort of saying that because you're a real estate agent in Toronto. And you know what? I actually thought about that, and I was like, am I just being a little bit subjective here, or but looking at the data, it definitely reassured me that I wasn't just being subjective, and I am giving you a true content. But if you think that no, still I can tell you otherwise, please comment down below and challenge me. I would love that challenge, kind of, if you're nice about it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you remember, I know I have a difficult time remembering, remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really helps me a lot, I swear. You guys all mean much to me. So please make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then next video is going to be about my personal life, I think. So until next time, annyeong. Oh no, before that. And before you go anywhere, make sure to watch my last video over here. And if you don't like that one, you can go with this one. And until next time, annyeong!